find him. I found him. Whoa! Bighorn sheep poop. All the way around. Where'd they go? I just had it. It's so much easier to find them on this. Okay.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
You know, you don't need a whole lot of time of it.
I just can't find it anymore. You guys are going to throw a question. There they are.
Then hit the little red button.
No, it's already recording.
When you move the camera like that, you move it whether it's in focus or not. You have to move your head, not the camera.
Okay, I'm really mad that I didn't get like... Holy shoot! Oh my god, I heard a rattle! I'm never going out there again.
Close the door. What'd you just throw out there, Connor? Nice.
I heard a rattle! Jeez, up. Holy shoot, it's buffalo crab!
There we go.
That is what I call big buffalo crab.
Okay, you made him run.
Sorry.
You can back up, please. He's already done.
They'll come back, I think. There are like millions of them.
Those trying to avoid their teeth.
Sorry. Holy shoot, it's prairie dog poop. There's a lot of prairie dog poop around this prairie dog home. I think it's pretty pink butterfly. No, I'm just kidding. Night vision. Where's the night vision button? Darkness. No, it's not darkness. Nope, nothing. Yeah.
You over here?
Yeah, they're kind of far from the video camera. Look, Patrick, look at that turd. Buffalo turd.
I'll get a little closer.
Oh, look, there's one scampering.
They're calling out to each other.
Little prairie dog. Look at his tail.
You getting that? You zoomed in on?
Yeah. Look at these flowers.
Talk about what you see.
Beautiful orange
Over here too.
flowers. Looks like they're talking. These are some pretty gnarly looking rocks. Look at that tail. Oh, there he went. Oh, he's in there now. The what? Is that a buffalo? Zoom around a little bit closer. No. Oh, God. Look at the cute little faces. Hey, little guy. Is this for you? There's a buffalo right out there. Oh, shoot. There's a buffalo. Yeah? Seems as if my mom has found a fossil. What? Sick, but you can barely see them. Whoa.
That they are extremely fast.
It's not a fossil. People wreck them.
I think the color's really cool.
It could be a bad one, huh?
No, we'll drive to here if you
Can you drive to Buffalo? Can you drive to Buffalo? Oh wait, that's why it's yeah? Dude, there's so much, what do you call it, crap? Oh my god! The ginormous buffalo footprint. Buffalo footprint. Right there. Hold on.
Wow, that is big.
Yeah, you know it.
Why don't you take it from this angle?
Around
Let's hit that.
there. Oh, nobody won.
Here's a buffalo turd.
Buffalo turd. See that a lot.
They call it.
Whoa, these are some pretty steep mountains. And here we are at something hill, climbing a pretty gnarly looking mountain. So, but a quite small mountain, because I'm already at the top. Whoa. Oh. Let's see. Right through. You can look, you can see all those little pine cones. Oh, crack in the place. Way up in the sky. And I'm gonna go this way. And these are some pretty gnarly Instagram pine. These are gnarly looking little rocks we got here. Look at that little tree. Yeah. I'm sick of the roots. Who's stepping on? See how the best way to get to the top there. And there. Right in there. I can barely see anything.
Connecticut. Well, you're going to be early on because the flags are in alphabetical order. A on this end, working your way to the mountain. When you come out of the avenue flags, you're going to be on number 6, which is the Grandview Terrace, where everybody's getting their picture taken. And beneath the terrace, you can either take the steps on the right, or there are 2 elevators on the ends of the terrace, down into the Lincoln Boardman Museum. Lincoln was the son of the sculptor. He completed it.
Put your money where your mouth is, bud.
I will. 25.
Yeah.
You can't just stand there forever and say it's a videotape.
No, he doesn't even record it.
Down close so you can get the.
You better not be recording because I'm walking fast.
Yeah,
there's
lots of little rocks.
Can you hold this a second, Sarah?
Protector.
You can't as videotape.
I want to sit down.
What was that?
Good square.
Guys, should we go down and start the movie?
No.
Look at the people that made it. Those are the people that made it, actually. In the middle of victory.
By constantly reworking his scale model, Morgan was able to test his ideas and manipulate the look of each face before they were actually cut into the model. Once Morgan was convinced of his artistic direction, he would measure.
There's Abraham Lincoln. There is General Roosevelt. There's Abraham Lincoln. Yeah?
Do you want me to read any of this stuff to you?
Oh.
No?
No, no. Faces.
Such a loser.
What? That was like what was that like before they went up anything into it?
The son of Danish immigrants, Borglum was a man who dreamed big and talked big. A man ideally suited to the times and to the carving of mountains. American art ought to be monumental, he said, in keeping with American life. And Rushmore ought to be colossal, in keeping with American achievements. Borglum found the needles impressive, but too weathered for sculpting. Mount Rushmore, however, seemed perfect. Stone with a finer grain and texture. A mountain big enough for Borglum's imagination. Borglum argued that a monument on this scale should represent our entire national experience. His final concept would be a tribute to the founding, preservation, growth, and development of the nation. These events would be symbolized by the images of 4 Americans who never lost sight of the simple idea that man has a right to be free and to be happy. Washington, Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln. Jefferson had articulated the central idea of the American democracy. We hold these truths to be self-evident, he wrote in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. More than 20 years later, when Jefferson became president, the red-haired Virginian also proved to be a great nation builder. His purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1803 opened the way to America's westward expansion. George Washington was the father of his country. In the darkest hours of the Revolution, his courage and resolve seemed never to falter. By sheer force of character, he brought the nation victory in its War of Independence. There were some who wanted to crown him emperor, but Washington would have none of it, choosing instead to nurture, in his own words, the sacred fire of liberty. As our first president, Washington set about to make the lofty ideals of the Declaration of Independence work in practice. For his iron rectitude, for his inspired vision of the future of a free people, and for the dignity he brought to the office of the presidency, Washington will be remembered for as long as men dream of freedom. The great emancipator, Abraham Lincoln, guided the destiny of the nation during its greatest trial, the war between the states. Let us have faith, he said, that right makes might. And in that faith, let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand. Lincoln was the prophet of America's permanence and of liberty, tolerance, and social justice for all our people. To political freedom, Theodore Roosevelt extended economic freedom. He was the daring trust buster, passionate conservationist, and friend of the common man. At a time when the U.S. was emerging as a world power, he led the march toward new frontiers, forging new links between East and West with the Panama Canal. We, here in America, hold in our hands the hopes of the world, he wrote, and shame and disgrace will be ours if in our eyes the light of high resolve is dimmed, if we trail in the dust the golden hopes of men. The mountain was dedicated August 10, 1927. The symbol of the moment was a set of drill bits handed to Borglum by President Calvin Coolidge. With his customary showmanship, the sculptor put them right to work on the face of the mountain. For guidance in his design of studio models of the presidents, Borglum studied photographs, portraits, and life masks, using the sculptor's tools of light and shadow to create likenesses with human character and vitality. % of the monument was carved with dynamite. The surface stone was cracked and soft. Nearly 500,000 tons of rock were removed to reach granite solid enough for sculpting. An engineer had suggested the use of dynamite to Borglum on an earlier job. By the time the artist came to Rushmore, he knew how to remove exact amounts of stone with each charge. To enable local hard rock miners to act as assistant sculptors, Borglum employed a measuring system called pointing. A circular plate, marked off in degrees, was mounted on the head of the studio model. One end of a bar was attached to the center of the plate. From the bar, a plumb bob was lowered until it touched the model. Measurements made on the model were multiplied by 12 and transferred to the mountain by the use of similar but larger devices mounted on the sculpture. Marks were made at each point, telling workmen how much stone to remove. Holes were then drilled for dynamite charges. The pointer was the most important worker on the mountain after the sculptor himself. In addition to pointers, the construction crew included powdermen, winchmen, blacksmiths, call boys, and as many drillers as the budget would allow at a given moment. During most of the construction, the workers hung over the side of the mountain in bosun chairs, a swing seat, and harness. With their jackhammers and other equipment, the men were raised and lowered by cables attached to winches. It was customary to blow off the morning's work at the noon lunch break, and to blast again at 4 o'clock when the shift ended for the day. The drillers became so skilled they could block out a nose to within a few inches of the finished surface, shape the lips, and grade the contours of the neck, cheeks, and brows. As they approached the final surface of the sculpture, the drillers carefully honeycombed the rock with holes 2 to 3 inches apart. With the granite thus weakened, steel wedges were used to chisel off sections. The remaining pot-like drill marks on the faces were removed with a small air hammer and facing bit, a finishing process called bumping. It left the granite smooth as a concrete sidewalk. The Washington head was unveiled on the 4th of July, 1930. In 1936, President Franklin D. Roosevelt spoke of the permanent importance of Mount Rushmore at the dedication of the Jefferson head.
10,000 years from now, if we can meditate and wonder whether our descendants, because I think they'll still be here, what they will think about us. And let us hope that at least they will give us the benefit of the doubt. If they will believe that we have honestly striven in our day and generation to preserve for our descendants a decent land to live in and a decent form of government to operate under.
In 1941, as a final dedication was being planned, Gutzon Borglum died, leaving his son Lincoln to close down the work. When he first arrived in the Black Hills, Borglum was 57. Until his death 17 years later, Rushmore had been the focus of his life, his all but impossible dream. In both its conception and realization, Rushmore is uniquely American, proclaiming bold ideals and big aspirations, celebrating the spirit of our people and the sweep of our civilization, reminding us of the hope a democratic society offers to the future. It is a monument no less to the men who, working together, transformed a lofty dream into a colossal reality, a work of art for the ages. A monument's dimensions shall be determined by the importance to civilization of the events commemorated, Borglum had said when he began. Let us place there, carved high, as close to heaven as we can, our leader.
How'd you think your phone fell?
Yeah, I think so.
Check that out. Yeah, that's fine.
Simon, get away from me.
Obsessed with
Okay, we still have some more room up here. We'll tighten it up a little bit. Have any of you been down to the sculpture studio yet this morning at all?
No.
Okay, I strongly encourage yet after this particular presentation, if you want to continue further down the trail, that is where all the sculpture samples or figures were used, the actual ones used by Guts and Borglum and his son Lincoln to do the mountain here. And they're all scale replicas, and that'll all be covered in detail down at the studio. First of all, let me start off with any time you get involved with basically a project of this size and stature, there's a lot of unknowns out there. The unknowns lay within the mountain. And in fact, as you look at the mountain this morning, there is in fact two mountains where you see the sculpture itself with the four elements within the sculpture. That's the first mountain. Behind it is the second portion of the mountain, which sits a little bit higher in some cases. As Guts and Borglum got up there and started working, there were changes. Certain portions of the mountain would not support those initial figures where he wanted to put them. For example, as you look in the sculpture studio, the original premise of the sculpture was to go from the top of the head to the waist level. It is not that way today. If you look up there now, you will see a dark strata of rock going across right below Washington's lapels and basically going laterally across the front of them. That is not Harney Peak granite. It's basically a mica-based rock, which is not good and will not sustain a high-quality, enduring, erosion-proof sculpture. So as he was blasting material off, he found that. So that was one of the first major changes to his master plan as a sculpture. The first president, his first election was George Washington, father of country, general of the Continental Army, big-time principal involved in our independence from England at that time, Revolutionary War issues, and obviously our first president. Again, Borglum's theme was national level and personalities or folks that had a significant impact on America's history during the first 150 years. First selection, as I mentioned, was Washington. So he's got the first position up on the mountain. The second selection, Thomas Jefferson, writer, author, Declaration of Independence. He was our third president and also a great statesman. What was one of the more important issues that happened during the presidency of Thomas Jefferson? Does anybody know? Correct. Both. The Lewis and Clark expedition and also the Louisiana Purchase. The theme of Jefferson's presidency was expansion. Because as the theme for Washington was the birth of the nation, again, Jefferson's was expansion. The reason was the geographic size of America doubled with the Louisiana Purchase. The land, the area you are standing on today, is part of the original Louisiana Purchase, thanks to Thomas Jefferson. Do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Were there any other people considered than the four that made it?
From my readings in the archive, checking original source documents, memoirs, etc., I never saw any mention of any other than the four that you see here today, ma'am.
Okay.
And as I cover them in detail, I can only speculate from my own personal opinion that the selections were pretty much spot on, okay? Because you got to remember, Borglum made the selections on the premise of significant contributions to America's history during its first 150 years. Yes, ma'am.
Did World War II affect the construction?
As I mentioned earlier, there are two issues that affected the mountain. Number one was money. Number two is weather. On the onset of World War II in 1941, with America's involvement in the Pacific, starting to ally ourselves with the Allies and Lend-Lease programs, the money was drying up. Congress made a determination that they weren't going to fund any more issues at Mount Rushmore. So basically, yes, World War II did have a significant impact. I will cover that in more detail further down the trail. Any other questions?